Hi, everyone. Welcome. We got people joining. This is awesome. We are going to get started here in just 30 seconds as we see this big group. It looks like the first of everyone is in. And we have a super awesome panel today on representation in simulation games, making the simulated world match ours. So, because we have a pretty full panel and agenda today, I am going to just jump in so we can really get into the nitty gritty of today. All of the panelists have the ability to mute and unmute themselves, and we just ask, because we are recording this, when you aren't chatting, if you could just have yourself muted, that would be awesome. For those of you on the call that we haven't had a chance to meet, my name is Anastasia, and I'm the executive director of the ESA Foundation. And I want to personally welcome you to our third roundtable in our Invest in Them series, which is a collection of timely conversations running from, we kicked it off on International Day of the Woman earlier this month to October's International Day of the Girl. And our aim with these roundtables is to convene a wide range of individuals from diverse backgrounds to discuss ways that we can create more opportunities for girls, young women, and non-binary students to raise their voices and follow their passions for STEAM and the world of video games. I think it's really important to note that at the ESA Foundation, we recognize that gender is a reflection of identity, biology, and expression. So thank you really quickly to our partners at Google who have been committed partners in helping us bring this series together and supporting our scholars. We work with them and many others to build and increase diversity in the STEAM pipeline through our scholarship program and through other collaborative partnerships with organizations like Black Girls Code. So enough for me. Let me turn over this amazing session to our moderator, Tanya DePass, who is the founder and director of I Need Diverse Games. She is also a DEI consultant and wears a million other hats. So I will ask her to introduce herself and kick off this panel so we can learn more from these amazing individuals and about their work to ensure that representation is brought into games that everyone loves to play and experience. So Tanya, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here and joining us. Thank you, Anastasia, for introducing the panel and for everyone who's joining us. And I love seeing all of my friends and getting a chance to collaborate with them. So that I am not hogging the mic, very briefly, my name's Tanya. You can find me over online, Cypher Tier, and I just realized I went into streamer mode. I'm so sorry. But I do a lot of RPG content. I do a lot of RPGs. I'm developing a game called Into the Motherlands, which is a tabletop RPG that, unlike many other things out in the world, has no colonialism or slavery as a backdrop. And you can find me everywhere online doing RPG, doing other content, and of course here. So thanks, ESA, for having us and asking us to do this panel. So now the order changed. So now I'm all messed up. So I'm actually going to start with Me Too. Me Too, who are you? What do you do? And
Hi.
yes.
So really excited to be here. Thanks, Tanya. So I'm Dr. Mitty Kandekar. I wear several hats. So I'm a game designer, entrepreneur, professor, etc. So I'm CEO of Glow Up Games, which is an all woman of color founded games company making mobile games. We are working on the official tie-in game for Issa Rae's Insecure, which is going to be out later this year. So really excited about that. And yeah, basically I've done various things in and around the games industry for the last 13 years, including being an academic and researcher. I did a doctorate in designing games for immersive technologies. I teach game design at NYU Game Center. So yeah, just really, really happy to be here. And, you know, just a lot of these amazing women I know on Twitter, and I've never been on a Zoom with them before. So I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. And I love that it's just all this lovely melanin too to talk
Yeah.
about these issues. I have no shame. Like, yeah, all the brown women are taking over. You asked us to do this,
It's
ESA.
about
Good luck.
time.
Yes. And speaking of lovely melanin and games, Danielle.
Hello. Hi, Tanya.
Hi.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Danielle. I also go by Ebonics or Ebonics Sims online. So I guess I'm pretty much known for making the Sims for blackity black, black, black. Um, I realized and recognized that there wasn't enough content readily available for us to kind of accurately represent ourselves within the game. And having like no through I didn't go to school for gaming. I'm literally a psychologist by trade. So I essentially taught myself how to 3D model to bring more accurate and representative hairstyles to The Sims 4. And I've been doing that since 2015. And just over the years, I've just been, just pumping out content for free because there's also this paywall where you have to pay to get additional content in order to make yourself look semi like yourself in The Sims. But yeah, so I've just been working on that. But also I'm a co-founder of Black Twitch UK, which is the a platform that I co-founded with my friend Cassie, who's in the chat right now, to basically highlight and uplift Black streamers within the UK because it is so hard to kind of actually find us on the platform. And we're kind of using that platform to shine a light on all the content creators on there. I don't just want to see us in games, I want to see us in the gaming industry as well.
Yes, I love it. And I'm very glad you're here. And shout out to Danielle, who's staying up really late to join us. So thank you.
No props.
Next up, Janae, who I've not yet had the pleasure of meeting, but I'm excited to be on this panel with you. So Janae, what do you do?
Hi, hello. I'm Janae or Janie Laney or just Minecraft girl, whichever one. I play a lot of Minecraft, and when I started playing Minecraft, like the first day, it took me 3 hours to find a black skin. And I had to pay, so I had to pay to be black, and I was like, that's weird. So ever since then, I've just always done everything that I could do in order to, have more representation in the game of Minecraft, like making Black character skins for people, and also then talking to Minecraft about how they're always whitewashed, and that was one of the biggest things that that I not really pride myself in, but that's one of the biggest things that I have done. And what the heck, Cooper? Sorry, my dog is like back then. He scared the mess out of me. But overall, I just always do try to tell people more about diversity. I'm on Facebook Gaming. I'm a partner. But throughout my years of content creation, it's always been about why is there lack of representation or misrepresentation with skin tones, with having actual people of color being in the forefront. Because when you think Minecraft, you think nothing but a bunch of white men. So that's what I do. I just talk to people about it, make skins for other people, and try to just make it a better place for more Black people in Minecraft.
Awesome. And one of my favorite people in the world, Vanessa, aka Pleasantly Twisted.
Yeah, so my name is Vanessa. I'm online everywhere as Pleasantly Twisted. I don't do the dev stuff and everything, but I do a lot of critiquing along with reviews and deep dive analysis because I have my master's degree in data analytics and research. And if you've ever been to my channel or my Twitter, you'll see I talk a lot about representation, especially as it pertains to Blackness, queerness, and accessibility. And as Tanya can vouch for, I will come for you, and I don't feel bad about it because we need to see more of it in there. I spend a lot of my time and energy talking about why these things are very important, and also kind of reflecting a lot more on things like what Janae just said, where you have to pay to be Black, and people think that that's perfectly fine, and it's becoming a thing where people need to understand from a data standpoint. Not only are Black people out here gaming, especially Black women are out here gaming, and we are part of the demographic, whether you like it or not. So I utilize a lot of my previous teaching and master's education experience to kind of bring that education and information over to the gaming side of things, and kind of got forcibly wedged into the space because of how loud I am, which that works for me. I'm good at being loud and good at being annoying. And it looks like we're finally getting to a stage where we're having more of these conversations. Again, we have a nice and bronzed panel today, and I would love to see more of that in the future because that's going to help out a great deal, especially since, as it's been mentioned before, a lot of us that are in this space right now, we also set a lot of the new trends. We set a lot of the new pace. We set a lot of the new things that come out, and we need to talk about it. We need to talk about a lot more. So that's what I do. Again, I'm Pleasantly Twisted all over and everywhere. So if you see the handle, it's probably me. I'm probably drinking wine somewhere and saying, this is why your game needs work.
Or go work on your content.
Go work on your content is something I'm literally considering trademarking.
Do it quick. Do it quick. So yeah, it makes me excited to be here. So we all talk about this generally, but in terms of this panel, we're talking about representation where you can make yourself in a game, not so much you get a character and kind of sort of maybe be that character. So why, just in general, why is it important? And I know it's kind of going back over what some of us said in our intros, but for the people in the back that don't listen and the people that may watch this later and don't get it, why is this an important thing?
You know, I'll go first with this because this is something where, you know, growing up, I had that very classic experience of, you know, you play games and you sort of pick, you're not really aware of it, but you pick the closest possible like analog to you, right? So, and also, you know, like I remember the first time I played like the original Street Fighter, I'm like, oh, but do I be Chun-Li or do I be Dhalsim? Like, it's just, I'm like, you know, both, neither is like a good analogy here, but, you know, the older I got and the more games I played, I was like, you know, I had this moment where I was like, you know, because I would say like I very much had that experience of just trying to fit in and like try to like somehow disguise myself amidst all the white dudes that I hung out with at like LAN parties back in the day. And at some point I got to realizing like, wait, I'm playing all these games where I'm asked to be you know, a white dude with brown hair, inevitably. I have no problem empathizing with that character's perspective, but why isn't anyone being asked to empathize with me and my perspective? And I gave a rant at GDC in 2013, which is the first time I had like spoken about this, and really sort of, you know, made it clear that, hey, we need to be having these conversations because, you know, for too long, we've been asked to just like bury ourselves and not talk about this and just sort of accept whatever is part of the mainstream. And you know what? I'm tired of that. I've been tired of it ever since then for a long time. And, you know, I'm doing something about it. So that's me.
Kind of building a little bit more off of that too, not having our experiences in there is really detrimental because it then kind of boxes us into these really nasty stereotypes 24/7, 365. Like there's so many cases where when I get to pick a brown character or bluntly speaking, a black character, they almost always have some backstory of being an anti-hero or a neutral party or ultimately an antagonist. And it's like, but I don't want to be the antagonist always. We exist for more than being like your criminal test subjects or your thugs of your game or, you know, those people that you're supposed to be targeting. We want to see black and brown heroes too. It's one of the big reasons why Deathloop coming up, I'm hype. One of the main characters is a chick that looks like me with an afro. And I'm like, let's get it. I want that character. That's me. And you see the people who get upset about it and they don't understand that that is a conditioning that's happened because they're very accustomed to seeing themselves in games all the time. So now they feel like not seeing themselves in the games is some type of pulling away from them or forcing them into something that they don't want to deal with. And they don't realize the parallel there where it's like, but think about how all of your marginalized identity friends feel every time we play a game and the only option on deck guaranteed every time is scruffy white male.
Yeah, and and just to sort of build off of that, the last thing I'll say is that has this effect on you over time, right? Like, and that is, it's this kind of like passive, I come to realize after a long time, it's a kind of passive trauma. Like it really is.
Well, with me, so me growing up, I grew up on Tekken. Like I'm a really big Tekken head. Okay, I played Ling, and when they killed off June, I was so upset. I played Tekken. I love Tekken. But when I was younger, I didn't realize, I guess at first I didn't realize that they had the opportunity to make more Black people. When I was younger, you know, you just have your select characters. Then when I was getting older, I was like, wait, they really had options and opportunity to make more Black characters not look dusty and dirty. You're telling, like, you see some of these games and everybody, all of the white people are all nice and, you know, they have rich features and all of this stuff. And then you see the black person, and the black person's looking busted and disgusted. Their braids are disgusting and nasty. And then they always have this look of just being pitiful. And I hate it. I honestly hate it. But then we're told, oh, that's your character right there. Well, why is it all these other characters are full-fledged? They actually have eyeballs and stuff, and I'm out here looking like a full entire scarecrow. So I think it's important for us to really be able to see ourselves how we actually, you know, are.
Yeah, and let's not forget if we actually get braids and locks and
That
froze.
part.
That look like braids and locks and froze, because there are plenty of cases out there where their idea of dreadlocks looks like they just took a tube and attached it to their head and they called it. Plenty, plenty.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. I will always say that representation matters across the board. I will always go back to this analogy where a lady reached out to me, and she talked to me about her niece, and her niece had a lot of self-esteem issues, and she was only like 8, 9, and a lot of self-esteem issues, and she loved The Sims, but she would never ever make Black Sims. She would only ever make white or kind of lighter skin Sims, and she was dark skinned, and it's just like, okay, this is her hair. Can you try and make this? And at the time, this is my earlier days. I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna try. Tempted, made it, and she hit me up about 2-3 weeks after I released it, and she said, Danny, I don't think you understand how much you've changed my niece's like how she sees herself. She now won't even stop making Black Sims, because now that she's finally able to see herself in this game, she now wants to create more people in the game, in her Sims world, that look like her, because she's developed that self-love within herself. And it literally took one hairstyle. So can you imagine where there's a whole game where you've got unlimited options? Because I'm tired. There'll be 64 different types of hairs, and 2 of them have an afro or a kink or a cow. And it's like, why are we so limited when it comes to, when there's an option to create a character? Why are we so limited? And I didn't realize that this had an effect on me when I used to. So I've been playing The Sims since 2000, since it came out. I never really used to make Black Sims in Sims 1, Sims 2, Sims 2 especially, because that's when they kind of stepped up with it. But I realized I wasn't making much Black Sims because there were no nice dreadlocks. There were no nice I couldn't make Sims that looked like me or the people around me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so important, especially for the younger generation coming in. Those are the ones who are going to be inspired. If they see themselves in games, they're going to be the ones making the games going forward. So we definitely need to start pumping this in from the jump, because I also noticed that we're an afterthought. Okay, yeah, we launched the game. Oh, we forgot the afros. Oh, we forgot the darker skin tones. We're going to slide that in a patch. Like, why are we an afterthought? This needs to be from the jump, where we are at the forefront.
And that kind of ties together with the paying to be Black or having to wait for your Blackness to come through. Because something I was mentioning as well, kind of going off that same trauma bit, when you're younger and you don't see yourself in games like that, it's easy to fall into the ideation that you're not supposed to be there. Like, as a freelance artist, hi, I didn't mention that in my bio. I'm garbage. I'm the lead artist of Into the Motherlands. What am I doing? But talking about that when I was growing up drawing, when it came to anything, anime, video games, other stuff, I perpetually just drew white people, because that's always what I was presented with. And it finally took me being in college for it to finally click and be like, but why can't I just draw Black folks? Why can't there be more Black people in all this stuff? And that's when it kind of really took off, even for me, because I had been conditioned into thinking, oh, I'm not supposed to be here. That's just how it is. That's how it's always been. And then just kind of became a moment, but why can't I have an Afro Black chick in the anime? Why can't I have somebody with dreadlocks in the cartoons, in the games, and everything else? And then that's when it really starts reflecting, oh, it's because you're just being perpetually lazy about it too. You do the bare minimum by adding 1 or 2 browns, something that kind of looks like dreadlocks, and then you go about your day because, oh, here's that representation you were asking for. I want to make a character that I could go in and say, oh, those are twists. Oh, that's a kinky twist. Oh, those are Bantu knots, and not just the default of afro, cornrows, puffs.
not just any cornrows, it's the gel ones, the ones that just go all back.
Ooh, see, I wasn't even going to go in
No,
on them like that.
it's always. I'm gonna say this, and then we're gonna move on before we get stuck here, because then we'll never get on any other question. It's always the cornrows that look like you could drive a Mack truck between them.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah. Oh, God.
At least, what's the gif of the person with like the one braid laid across their head? That's what. Look, I've spent too much time playing video games. But speaking of which, but I want to kind of bring it back to things that you all touched on, which is, notice there are no men on this panel, and it's been non-men spearheading these movements. It's been non-men bringing the custom content, talking about these issues, bringing these games. And why do you think that is? Why do you think it's, once again, the labor's falling on the non-men to go and do the things that aren't being done by the industry? So why do you think it's always us that does this and goes, hey, we fixed it for you. This shouldn't be this hard.
I think that one of the reasons is because it's a simple fix for a Black man. They'll just go ahead and go and paint him a little darker. And the man will be like, okay, well, that's cool. I think that also a lot of it is that a lot of times Black men, they don't want to talk or overstep because they feel like they have to feel so grateful to be amongst everybody. So it's like, I'm grateful I'm here, so I'm not going to say anything, because if I say anything, the companies won't like me anymore. Because they should be saying something. I mean, as many Black men that are up above everybody, they should be saying things, but they don't.
There's a thing that I said on Twitter once upon a time that when I said it, it really kind of struck an internal chord, and it's talking about Black women and being angry. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you do it just because you're loud and you're angry. And I remember I snapped back at somebody, I was like, I'm not angry, I have expectations. And I expect that people who want to see all these changes and stuff would also want to be a part of this process. And it's kind of its own irritant that it's almost always, like I said at the beginning, we're the ones who set the trend. We're the ones that are constantly going in, doing the fixes, doing the updates, doing all the extra legwork and everything. And then to have, bluntly speaking, Black men then come in and do exactly what Janae is saying. Oh, well, I don't want to rock the boat too much. Well, I'm inside already, so let me see what I can do. We need you to do more than that, because it starts getting kind of taxing that the women and non-men, or I shouldn't say that, the non-men are the ones that are the hard carry. We're the ones that are constantly the hard carry. We're the ones doing the animation, the modding, the scripting, the additional education, all the open threads and everything else. And some of y'all don't even retweet that bad boy because you're afraid it may look a kind of way. And it's like, but you want these things to change, do you not? Well, yeah. So what do you plan on doing then to help facilitate that change? Because showing up in the space is not enough. You have to do much more than just be present in the space. You have to actually go in there and start questioning those things, saying, hey, I saw that you were talking about wanting to get more Black initiatives going in your gaming space. Have you checked out some of the people that follow me? Have you checked out some of the people I retweet? Have you checked out some of the things I've written about? Or did you just hire me so you could check that box and keep walking?
I think Black women are very used to or just women in general, because the gaming industry is so white, male, cisgendered, we are so used to not having a space within that industry to begin with. Like, the walls have been up. There's literally, it's like Wall Maria. Okay, we're talking Attack on Titan now. It's like Wall Maria. We have done fighting at this wall. We created our own space. We curate our own spaces, and then we branch out, and then we get bigger. And that's when, opportunities start spilling over from that other space that we were never welcomed in the first place. So I see non-men doing bits and, getting elevated in these spaces because we're not trying to, it's like a drip, within that space, it's like drip, drip, drip. Only one token Black here, one token Black there, one token woman there, one token LGBTQ there. But it's within our own space that we've curated, there's room for everyone. And that's when we expand and grow and create more opportunities for each other. So I think that's why we're dominating, because now their space is getting smaller. We are just getting bigger and more beautiful.
The other thing I'll say is that, you know, this is exactly how systemic racism and sexism is designed to work. It rewards people for either doing nothing, and, you know, it rewards people either being lazy or complicit. Like, that's the things it rewards. And, you know, you see this, yeah, you see this with Black and brown men, but you see this with white women as well, right? Like, that's the, you know, that's that's the thing. It's like, this is why, you know, when I say representation, I use that sometimes as a shorthand for doing the deeper systemic work, because really it is more than just representation. It's more than just like what avatars you have on the screen, and, you know, who's to some extent, it's also more than just who is there in those rooms, right? It is about doing the work, because it's not easy. That's the thing. You know, Glow Up Games, we started the company 2 years ago, and we're doing this from a perspective of like trying to fight again, like trying to make it in a system that was not designed for us. And that's, you know, it's hard fucking work, but, you know, that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, and you know, like as we're all talking, I'm thinking about like all the games that I've either played, consulted on, or just went, so it was so hard to put some brown hair, black hair in this game. Or in some cases, the NPCs got the black hair, but it's not in the character creator. And I'm just like, really? Clearly it's in the game. But I did want to talk about that because, you know, all of us have textured hair. We've got braids, we've got locks, we have gorgeous, gorgeous hair, but it's like a bridge too far for a lot of games to put this in there and have it not look like trash. And, you know, like Vanessa talked about it, Danny talked about it, where it was just so important to see and to have that. So, you know, I'm not sure who wants to tackle this, Danny, because you've been modding, or me too, because you're making games, or anybody else on the panel. Just why is that so important? I mean, I know why it's important for me, but I don't want to dominate the panel. So, don't all talk at once.
I mean, I went on pause because you made call outs and I was like, I'm not going. Mm-mm.
No, I'm looking at the rest of the panel like, don't all talk at once.
So am I good? Am I good to go?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so like I said, I pretty much taught myself how to 3D model, like all of, I wouldn't say I was like artistic. I'm a little bit artistic. I'm more like musically inclined, but to kind of dive into the world of 3D modeling simply because I was sick and tired of the base game hairs that came with The Sims. You know, I counted, there are 64 base game hairs, and of the 64, there are about 7 of them that have a kink or curl. And for me, I was like, no, this is not enough. I changed my hair. Well, I used to, because all of you now know my hair is blue, but I used to change my hair so frequently, and it was just like this, I can't do this. And I know that there are so many other Black women and women of color who frequently change their hair and do not have the content to do so. And it's so important for me to have learned how to bring said content, and for free, because there's no way that we should be, again, like Janae said, playing for our Blackness. It's getting me heated. It's even just thinking about it and talking about it now, it really does get me heated, because there are so many other games like that. I'm not adding other games, but there's a certain magical game where you start off with like 3 or 4 hairs, and the ones that you have to pay for that look remotely black are gem. You have to pay like 50, 60, 700 gems for black hair. And I was just like, okay, all right. So, sweetie, this is not what we're going to do. And so, yeah, it's just, for me, I need us to be able to do better. I need us to keep having these conversations so that, again, we're at the forefront. And if me, as someone who's self-taught, can bring about 200 hairs to a game, why aren't these AAA companies doing that from the jump? You need to hire these people in order to fill the game with as much content as you're filling for our counterparts. So I literally cannot fathom how there can be any excuse as to why someone who is self-taught can bring so much to a game, but you've got hundreds and thousands of millions of dollars, and you can't give us the same amount of content as our counterparts. So yeah, I'm going to start atting in the chat. You're muted, Tan.
At least once a Zoom call.
That's okay.
I was gonna say I definitely want to hear from Me Too and Janae on this. Me Too, since you're making games, Janae, since you're making such great content.
Yeah, I mean, to sort of speak to why it's important, it's again, this idea, as everyone's touched on, about like who matters when it comes to representation, like who is kind of supposed to be here. And honestly, like it's one of these things where for us at Glow Up, we're working on the Insecure game, and like the first thing we knew is that, oh, we want a really inclusive character creator. Like we want everybody who plays the game to be able to see themselves in a way that they actually are, and don't have to like go and find the closest like analog to what they think they look like. And because it's bullshit having to do that, and this is a case of like, the team that we've built of people who know that, who've experienced that, right? So yeah, I mean, for us, it just goes with the territory, right? And this is kind of speaking to why it's so important to, again, I did say, I know I'm sort of going back on what I said before, which is that it's more than just representation and who's here, but it is also about who's here. You need enough people here. You need enough Black and brown people here and making games. And within those folks, people who care to kind of fight against what the sort of default assumptions are. So yeah, and that's it really.
Well, so some of it has to do with the content creation space. I don't think people know how embarrassing it is to sit up here and grind all these hours on a game where they make everybody else that people can identify with somebody in real life, but they can't even make a Black person. Like it was just so frustrating talking to Minecraft about it, because I'm like, yo, you guys have a game where you could literally do whatever the heck you want to do. And they made Frozen. You guys made the whole entire Frozen movie up in a map. You made the characters, you did everything on point. You had dialogue, but when it's something Black, it's a problem. Oh, we can't do that. They always want to say that being Black is like a political thing. I got mad one day, turned off Minecraft, called up one of my Minecraft little contacts, and I said, I can't do this right now, because you guys continuously drop the ball. There should be no reason why all of the characters look stupid. Like all the Black characters in a lot of these games just look pathetically stupid. That's one of the reasons why I never got into Sims, to be honest. I tried out Sims one time. I said, no, ma'am, Pam, because it took me 3 to 4 hours to even remotely think that I got a good skin tone. And that's just trash. Games have been around for like decades. You're telling me all of a sudden, we still don't know how to do Black people. You never seen a Black person before? I'm sorry. It just makes me mad. It just really makes me mad about this.
Oh no, be mad. That's why we're here.
Say, it's that whole energy though, because it's exactly that. I've hit people with that. It's like, so you've never seen a Black person before, and you watch them go. You've seen Black people before. You've probably denied some of those resumes when they came in trying to apply for jobs to help alleviate this whole conversation. So why are you acting brand new now when we're asking you, where are we at? Because like even more modern games, it especially is jarring when you get some of these larger companies who come in and say, oh, well, we can't do that. It's just going to be too much workload, too much stress. And it's like, really? It's too much workload and stress? I can go over here and pick up this indie game right quick that got all types of Black people in it. I can go over here and grab this, I guess it's technically double A title, and they give you a color slider and it starts at peach and it goes to brown. But the brown part of the slider doesn't represent just 10% of the slider. It's like a smooth 50-50. So I just have a hard time believing that you can't figure out the ways to add this in and budget it and stuff. Like there's not even an attempt.
Well, Vanessa, go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, like, I think another way to frame this conversation, right, and kind of one of the reasons for that. So, and I want to tie this back to the title of this panel, right, which is about representing, simulation, right, simulating the world as it is. And we can think of games, we can think of all games as simulations, because they're really about like, what is the games are almost like representations of like the possibility space of something, right? So if what your game is saying is the possibility space of what we think of who we think is important, is largely white characters, then that's what's going to be represented in your game. So if who's making games and making decisions about like where that budget goes, for instance, are folks who have that very limited like worldview, like where they think, oh, the possibility space of what people mean and represent is like this, as opposed to like black and brown folks, that's what's going to happen. So I think that's the other reason this is so important. Like games, not to go into the rabbit hole of like, oh, games teach us to think in these ways, because it's more subtle and nuanced than that. But games do validate like certain models or ways of thinking of the world, and that's why this is also important.
Yeah, and the other part of it too, before we go into our next question, is that, and this is freely available data. This is not special data, but the International Game Developer Association, or IGDA, every year does a developer satisfaction survey, and part of that is talking about ethnicity, gender, disability, mental health. And every year that I've been watching it, it's gone from like 80 to 74, 75% ethnically white men are the majority of people making video games. So there's the problem right there. There's not enough of us literally at the table. Like, black people in total were maybe 2% out of the self-reported respondents. It was a high group of Asian, and for a while it was just Asian, and then they finally started breaking out into actually where you came from. But that's still 14%, so you're still looking at a majority white male-dominated industry, which we all know, but I don't know how many people think or understand that at the end of the day, it's still like a white dude signing off on what a character looks like, on a storyline, on art, and then years later we see, oh, this character could have looked like this, like Overwatch, like Dragon Age Inquisition. And I'm like, but that's who we could. Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, it's who's at the director level, who's at the C-suite, right?
Yep. And that's why I'm glad you and Toya are at the C-suite for your company. So before we get in the weeds, because I know we could easily get in the weeds on this whole thing, and since we're talking about modding, I wanted to bring up why or how you think programming tools and coding, to people like Danny was talking about that already at 9 have a complex or don't see themselves in games, how is that important, and how can we get younger people, like kids that are in high school now and like even pre-high school and going into university, how is getting them coding and tools going to help change the gaming landscape for us as we get older, kind of roll out of the industry, or just go chill and enjoy the fruits of the younger generation's labor?
I'm sorry, Danny. No,
go ahead, honey. Go ahead.
Okay. One of the initiatives with Black Minecraft is that I've spoken to children, because I'm family friendly. I've spoken to children about STEM. I've taught chemistry in Minecraft as well. And one of the things that I'm very big on is education. So I live in Florida. In Florida, we have a lot of robotics and everything like that, but it's not being properly exposed to minorities. It's not. It's being exposed to them later on, and to the point where they're already, inside of what their career path is. And that's not good. We want to get that easy exposure when they're young. Your electives, actually allowing electives like video gaming, robotics, extra sciences, opening those up at a younger age, having the discussion in home, like, hey, what do you want to do today? Oh, you want to play video games? Let's find out how they made those video games. So I think that a lot of it is the conversation level, but also trying to find out how to attack it on education. I'm currently trying to put Black Minecraft stuff into the school district so that the school gets exposed to the racism that happens in video gaming and in like robotics and all really tech sciencey fields. trying to really expose them that, you know, women are in video gaming, women are scientists. So I think we really just have to, we have to attack it where kids spend most of their time, which would be at home and at school. So content creators, I've watched Danny several times. She's funny as heck, but content creators. So since we're all content creators, we sit in the homes of a lot of people every single day, every night, every afternoon, everything. I think us having this conversation while on stream, while in our pre-recorded content, all that, I think that's one of the ways that we could at least try to bring it home.
I mean, Janae, you just pretty much said everything I was going to say. So that's great. I can be quiet now. No, but on a real, like, literally putting even our Black devs, our Black content creators, there are so many avenues in gaming that so many people are unaware of. And I feel like, so we are also coming from a generation where you're supposed to be a doctor, you're supposed to be a dentist, you're supposed to be a lawyer, you're supposed to be all, you know, all of these high ranking jobs. And that's why I have a psychology degree. I won't say that too loud because mum's around. But, you know, it's about exposing all the different opportunities from a young age, because these kids do not know what is available. They think, and you know, you tell parents, oh, mum, I want to play games for a living. No, no, we're not doing this. It's like basically as well educating the parents about what is available for their children, how they can make being in the gaming industry a career, and a fruitful one at that. And if you even give them a smidge, just a piece of the possibilities of what gaming is going to be in the next 5 to 10 years, it will blow their minds. Do you think you could tell parents 5 years ago that their 14-year-old will be making thousands of pounds or dollars from making a tool for a game, or appearing on like an esports league, or just doing anything within the gaming industry? 14. Listen, my kid would have been had a controller in their hand training from 5. But yeah, no, putting it in the kids' minds and in their environment, educating them on what the possibilities are, what's available, how they can have an impact on games. Hey, if you're not seeing this, do you actually, because that's another thing. If you don't see it, put it in. You make it yourself. Do it yourself. And that's where I'm coming from. I didn't see it, so I said, okay, I didn't see a dashiki. I'm gonna make a dashiki, and that's literally how it all started. So telling kids, if you don't see something in this game that you like, how about you go ahead and try and make it yourself, and that gets the ball rolling. So for sure, getting the kids involved, but also getting parents involved and educating them on the absolute possibilities of what the gaming industry holds and what it's going to be in the future.
Yeah, Vanessa or anyone else, because time has got away from us, so I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to talk.
I'll try to make mine really brief. Going back to the education part and then like tying that in with parents, this is literally what my entire master thesis lit review was about, and how we need to be better and vigilant about support structures around that. Because what we also see in a lot of, especially the STEM spaces, is that even when Black youth get interested, because they are handed tools that are always successful with white youth, the second that they fail, it's not even an attempt to try and figure out, okay, how do we make this more accessible? How do we make this so that they can learn better? How do we make it so that they can be more involved? They just say, okay, they're not built for STEM. And we've got to deconstruct that. We have to do it because there's so many prominent, talented Black kids out there that could be in gaming and then doing a lot of the stuff we're talking about, and they have the opportunity taken away from them instantaneously because, oh, they didn't do too hot on their algebra exam. And it's like, but you don't think about how that information is being parsed or broken down. I even had the raw data in my thesis about kids with Legos, and how with Black children, they might have taken a longer time to construct something the same as a white kid, but rather than actually figure out why that was, they just said, okay, then they're not built to be an engineer. That's it. That's all it took, because they accidentally put it off by one peg. Oh no, okay, no, cool. That's Gucci. Wonderful, great, love that for us.
But it's also why a lot of us just aren't in engineering, a lot of us aren't in math, a lot of us aren't in STEM. I straight up was told by a teacher in grade school that whether or not y'all learn, I'm still going to get paid, which is probably why I don't like math now.
Can I get that thesis? I'm sorry. Can I get your thesis?
No,
I'll
don't
have to go-
apologize.
I'll go digging for it. I believe it's on one of my hard drives, but yes, I'll get that for you.
Don't apologize. Look, we all about sharing the knowledge here. We're having a good conversation. I just hate the time is moving so quickly because I want to get through like all our questions, but time is our enemy right now. But there's a couple more things that I want to talk about, and you know, whoever wants to take this, feel free. But we all, you know, like all of us have communities, all of us have worked to build communities, and in a conscious way, I hope. But I want to know, what is community in general, and maybe even your own? What is it done to encourage the growth of representation in these kinds of games?
I'm putting myself in timeout because I talked a bunch.
Well, I mean, I can kind of chime in on this one more so because I really had the pleasure of working and consulting with EA when it came to the additional skin tones that they added to the game. So I was one of the game changers who kind of was at the table with them and said, look, this is, honey, we have to work on this. But I was only at that table because they acknowledged, and my community helped build me up to the point where they acknowledged the impact that the content that was being created outside of EA, because they're hyping me up and people will be atting them. You lot should be doing this. You lot should have been doing this. Can you hire her? Can you hire her? If I had £5 for every at Ebonic Sims, can you hire her? tweet that was out there, I'd be making bank. But I think within the community aspect, they've pushed me up to the point where I'm able to now talk about why skin tones matter, why we need to have hairstyles that represent, why we need to have hairstyles that have accurate kinks, accurate curls, accurate length, accurate partings. Because, you know, at one point it was just, you know, when you do braids, it starts small and then it gets bigger. But, you know, we had braids that was just line. And so, you know, it took talking to them to actually identify, like, look, these are the dynamics of how our hair looks, and this is what you need to do in order for us to feel accurately represented. So I won't go on, but I think having the community around you to kind of uplift and shout as a community, because it wasn't just me who shouted about it, and the whole Sims community came together and said, look, you need to do better about representation within this game. And the only way it's going to change is through the collective voices of the communities.
Mm-hmm. Okay. When it comes down to community and me, there's been stumbling blocks. So with the overall Minecraft community, it exposed racists with me stepping up, and I didn't even mean to do that. Like I didn't want to do that mess. When Minecraft posted a YouTube video with me in it and stuff like that, the comments, it exposed the racism, and it felt like it backfired at first. Like, I'm gonna be honest, I wanted to give up several times, because to be called the N-word on a YouTube video and my dad to see it was annoying. Like, I'm sorry about crying, but
Don't apologize for crying.
this is something that's so important to us. But when some of us speak up, and then we find out that the very community in which we thought we were uplifting then turns on us, because they're saying, oh, you just want to be Black everywhere, you just want to do this. It's like, yo, I just want to play the game, but I want to feel just as comfortable as how you guys feel all the time. Like, for me, this is real life. For a lot of Black kids, this is real life. I got into video gaming because my dad used to always be deployed. So he used to send me video games. So this was my way of connecting to the rest of the world, because I didn't know how to. But the thing is that there's also another side of the community. I have a lot of people, a lot of young kids saying, I've been playing Minecraft since I was 10 years old, and I really love it. And I'm glad I could finally see a Black woman playing this game. Like, yo, I don't want to name drop or anything like that, but in Minecraft, it's all about the white men. So when I come to the scene, I tell people, I don't mean to, like, you know, offend you. If I offend you, it's because you're a racist. But, you know, I don't want to purposely. make you expose yourself, but you're going to expose yourself because Black people are here. We need the representation. All these Black men that sit up here and do nothing, you guys are trash because you see that this whole entire time it has not been fair for us, but I have to come up. I have to say something. That's not fair. There's men with like 3, 4, 5 million subs on YouTube who are not saying anything about this. And I'm like, you have all those people. But then when I say something, I sound like I'm conflicting everything. So I'm glad I'm having a community now that, you know, they're starting to be okay with me doing this. They're like trying to sit up there and donate money for me to upgrade my computer and everything so I could do all of that. Minecraft finally came out with a way to actually do a character creator with a slider. They actually have a slider. I said, oh, okay. We still need some work on that slider, just saying. But you know, just seeing that my community at first, it was kind of sucky, you know, but just seeing how they're all starting to come out. You have people that, you know, older men too. You have some older Black men who have been like, listen, I've been playing this game with my family. I'm Black. Hi, hello, how are you? So it's, you know, we're being very effective in the community, but it is really exposing a lot of the real truths of the video game industry.
I mean, that's some facts. Did you know up until last year, there were no Black females in the UK who were Twitch partners? So even
What?
within the gaming space, up until last year, there were absolutely 0 Black women who were partnered on Twitch within the UK. And honestly, it's so telling. It's so telling how it is. I mean, it's bad in the States for sure. But in the UK, I don't know if you've been on, I already added them, but just the whole UK and I Twitch page is like football, lad culture. And it emphasizes exactly what the gaming space within the UK is. It's so dominated by unfortunately cis white men. And so I was the first Black female in the UK partnered, first Black female ambassador. So it's moments like this where my community are also seeing me here. Like I'm trying to bring them up. I'm like, listen, we need more. We're gonna make it rain Black partners in the UK. It's time. It's actually our time. And that's exactly why Black Twitch UK was also founded, because we're trying to get more of us within this space. I love playing games. I love you lot in the States, but there's something so niche about playing with someone who's from the same ends as you that you can directly relate with. You got the same colloquial, way of speaking. You got the same knowledge of what's happening on these standards. It's just, so that community within itself, especially, is really important for me because, I want all of us to get uplifted and to be in this space flourishing. So we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make things happen.
This is our polite way of saying, hey, white people and Black men, it's time to unpack why y'all don't want us here. Yeah, that thing you did, it's probably racist. It's probably sexist too. And we're not gonna go nowhere till you fix it. That's what we do.
We're not going anywhere, period.
Yeah, we're not gonna go nowhere. You gotta fix it. That's all there is to it. There's plenty of instances that we can all, I'm pretty sure, name where it's just like, I don't even want to unpack the racism that you just engaged. I don't even want to unpack the sexism you just engaged. But it's not because I don't think it's important. It's because I know it's like talking to a wall. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep doing my thing, and you're just gonna sit over there and be upsetty here in a little bit when I get my shine. And then you're like, well, how come you ain't include me? Girl, what? But you do everything in your power to
exclude.
Interesting.
Ooh, this has been a good conversation. I love in the chat people like, I'll pay for part 2. So we can drop our links in the chat. I have no shame ESA. If you got a coffee, panelists, if you got PayPal, how to support the studio, me too. I have no shame. Because our time is valuable. And unfortunately, that valuable time is now at an end. I'm so sorry. But this has been amazing. We have to do this again. Either with the ESA or on our own. Because we had so much we wanted to touch on. And just it was a wonderful conversation, but like most, it was just like such a good. I'm trying not to be all mushy because I also put on makeup and I don't want to cry because it was a lot. But when we get folks together who just flow and gel so well, it was just great. And I've missed this kind of collaborative thing. So thank you all for being here. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today. So on behalf of myself, my fellow panelists, and the ESA Foundation, thank you so much for joining us. If you missed it, came in late, missed any of our conversation, this will be available on the ESA Foundation website later this week, which I know it's Wednesday, so hopefully that means by Friday or Saturday. And also, thank you, because it means a lot that you all stayed, hung out, and listened to us have a wonderful conversation. So wherever you are in the world, thank you. Good evening, good night, good day. We're out.